Well, after a one-year hiatus from the NASCAR Xfinity Series, Kyle Busch is back.
Did you miss me? I'm back.
How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. This is what happens when I take a near full week off. 2 videos in one day, tons of NASCAR news. If you're not already, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below so you stay in the loop on all things NASCAR. Before we get to the latest breaking story though, I actually have a couple of announcements. First and foremost, my all new podcast that I'm hosting alongside Brennan Poole, NASCAR Xfinity Series driver, will premiere this coming Tuesday, February 14th, Valentine's Day. Curl up on the couch with your significant other, maybe share earbuds and listen to the first episode of Out of the Groove Power Hour presented by Circle B Diecast. Our first guest is none other than the one and only Daniel Suarez. I cannot wait for y'all to hear this first episode. Not only will Power Hour be released onto YouTube as a video format, but each episode will simultaneously be released on major podcast platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio. Wherever you choose to listen to podcasts, you'll be able to find Power Hour beginning February 14th. Again, first episode featuring Daniel Suarez, fresh off a playoff appearance, his first career win. Wanted to talk to him before the 2023 season really gets rolling, so looking forward to sharing all of that with you. Second announcement, this coming Monday night, the night before Power Hour premieres, the Monday Night Racing Season 6 playoffs will come to an end. The championship race from the virtual Homestead Miami Speedway will be broadcast on my channel. I'll be a part of the broadcast team, as will legendary NASCAR driver and broadcaster Darrell Waltrip. That's right, tune in Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time right here, youtube.com/Eric Estep. You're already in the right place to hear me call the race alongside our talented booth of Blake McCandless, Kenneth Bueno, Jacob Hitz, as well as Darrell Waltrip. Corey Heim, Leighton Sabile, Chase Cabry, and Adam Cabot are the championship 4, pursuing the MNR iRacing Season 6 championship. Gonna be a great event, a fun broadcast team. I hope you all tune in to watch. Whew, okay, that'll do it for announcements, for now at least. There are more announcements coming soon. The 2023 season is here. The main topic of this episode though is Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch has been in the news quite a bit this week. I might do a special video this weekend documenting the comments he and Joey Logano made after the clash, as well as some of what's happened to Kyle Busch off the track this offseason. Won't get into that here, but today Kyle Busch was in the news. He's coming out of retirement. I know what you guys are thinking. What do you mean, Eric? He's never retired. He ran Cup last year. He's run Cup every year since 2005. He's just switching teams. What are you talking about? Retirement? Well, back in 2021, Kyle Busch made a sort of promise to the world, if you will. He said that once he'd won his 100th Xfinity Series race, he would retire from Xfinity Series racing. Well, if you look at that season, Kyle Busch made the 5 Xfinity starts that Cup drivers are allowed and won all 5 of them. He went 5 for 5, an average finish of 1.0. Literally does not get any better than that. He finished his Xfinity career with 102 wins. As a result, he did not run any Xfinity races in 2022. He sat out last year. He did some truck races still, obviously did the full Cup schedule, but he was absent from the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Well, now things have changed. After spending 1 year on the sidelines, Kyle Busch is back today. Colleague Racing announced Busch will run 5 Xfinity Series races behind the wheel of the number 10, beginning with the West Coast swing. He'll race at Las Vegas and then Phoenix. He will also run Charlotte, then Watkins Glen over the summer, and the Darlington Fall race. 5 starts, the maximum Cup Series drivers are allowed to race in the lower series. Kyle Busch joins AJ Allmendinger, Justin Haley, and Austin Dillon as other drivers who have already been confirmed to be making some starts in that number 10 car, now that Landon Castle, unfortunately, will not be in that seat. We covered that last month. Kyle Busch, of course, will race for Richard Childress Racing, a Chevy team in the NASCAR Cup Series this year. I remember, go back a few months, go back to like late last summer, early fall, before Busch made the RCR announcement, Colleague was seen as one of the potential finalists, as in they were a potential landing spot for Kyle Busch on the Cup Series side. Ultimately, Busch ended up with RCR. We really don't know how close those RCR discussions ever came to becoming reality, but it's kind of interesting now, hearing all those rumors 6 months ago to now know that Busch is going to race for Kaulig, sort of, in Xfinity. Of course, Kaulig and RCR, both Chevy teams, they actually have a technical alliance, so this is fairly close to home. This isn't completely random or anything. But it is a little surprising, I guess, to see Kyle Busch, go back on his word. Of course, he posted this short video to his social media today that highlights Tom Brady, Michael Jordan coming out of retirement. He's comparing himself to the GOATs, which some people won't like. People hate when you say Kyle Busch and Richard Petty have the same number of NASCAR wins, and actually Kyle Busch has more. People hate when you say that, and I understand, but Kyle Busch comparing himself to the GOATs is fair when talking about his Xfinity Series status. 102-time winner in the Xfinity Series. He's by far the greatest driver to ever run in this series. Sure, he's run a ton of races. You can call him a bushwhacker. You can hate on him all you want, but you cannot deny how great his success has been in the Xfinity Series. It has not been entertaining for the most part. Not at all. It has been sheer and utter dominance. You don't have to enjoy what he's done to appreciate how great it is. Sure, most of the drivers are less experienced. Kyle Busch has typically been in one of the best cars. I'm not saying an Xfinity Series win, if you're Kyle Busch, means as much as a Cup Series win. Of course not. But to win 102 races in 362 starts, when there are plenty of other Cup Series drivers in the field as well, very, very impressive. You're allowed to compare yourself to the GOATs, in my opinion. Don't have any issue with that at all. Enough talking about the past, though. What does this mean for the here and now? This is big for Kaulig. It gives Kaulig Racing a chance to really figure out where their Xfinity program is. Last year, they were still really good. AJ Allmendinger won a bunch of races. He won the regular season championship. He just missed out on the championship 4, but one of your cars, Landon Castle, missed the playoffs entirely, and Daniel Hemrick, the defending series champion when he was in a Gibbs car, went winless and was bounced in the first round. Felt like overall Kaulig was not quite as consistent as they'd been the previous couple of seasons when they'd had drivers like Justin Haley and Ross Chastain in their cars full time. So has Kaulig slipped a little? That's up for debate. Kyle Busch, though, coming in to drive that 10 car, you'll know exactly how good or bad your Xfinity program is. Also, if you're Kaulig, I think you can start to talk about Owners Championship. I mean, you got AJ Allmendinger doing a few races, Kyle Busch now doing a few races, Justin Haley, who I just mentioned, he's been good in Xfinity, Austin Dillon, depending on who else they get to fill out that car, fill out those dates next year, 10 car could be in the Owners Championship consideration. I'm not joking. So it's great for Kaulig Racing. If you're Kyle Busch, I actually think this is really good for him as well. Yeah, sure, it's 5 races in an Xfinity Series. Ultimately meaningless for Kyle Busch. I get that. But at this point, I think we have enough data to prove that Kyle Busch is at his best when he has a busy schedule. I've been predicting Kyle Busch wins 4 or 5 Cup Series races this year. I think he's going to have the best season an RCR driver has had since Harvick. But many of y'all probably believe that's a hot take because the last 2 or 3 years in the Cup Series, Kyle Busch hasn't looked quite as dominant. He hasn't looked as good in Joe Gibbs Racing equipment. He's won 1, 2, and 1 races the last 3 years. That's low for Kyle Busch. In my opinion, you can trace Kyle Busch's recent struggles, if we want to call it that. He's still been good, just not Kyle Busch good, but you can trace all of it back to 2020 spring, the pandemic. When that hit and NASCAR canceled all practice and qualifying for the remainder of the season, Kyle Busch wasn't as good. Kyle Busch is a great communicator. I know that sounds crazy to say, but I think he's really great at explaining what the car needs, what he's feeling, how to make big adjustments, take huge swings, and that's the kind of thing you can only do during a full practice session. With no practice, no qualifying that whole year, just unloading off the truck, basing everything off sim data, Kyle Busch struggled. He managed to squeak out that win at Texas late in the season, but he almost had his first winless season of his entire Cup Series career. Fast forward to 2021, some practice and qualifying start to come back. He does a little better, makes the playoffs, wins 2 races. Last year, it's still only full practice at a handful of tracks, still not the same track time he's used to, and he only won once, and it was a fluky win at Bristol. Going back to 2020, the same time that practice and qualifying were taken away, NASCAR also limited the number of Xfinity races Cup guys could participate in to 5. It had been like 7 for a couple years before then, so they'd already limited it a lot, but to limit it to 5, the same number it is today, I mean, it happened at the same time Kyle Busch's numbers kind of went downhill. Again, I don't want to undersell Kyle Busch. He's still been very good the last 3 years, very formidable, and in 2021, he was like a point outside of the championship for still been good, just not scary good like we're used to seeing from Kyle Busch. And I believe that's because he's not getting to spend as much time on the racetrack racing. So we know he's got a truck team. He's going to make some starts in his 51 truck, now a Chevrolet. Now he's going to make 5 more starts in the Xfinity series. I just think more track time, the better if you're Kyle Busch, even as he's become one of the veterans of the series. He's in his late 30s. He's one of the oldest drivers in the Cup Series. Even as he's gotten older, I still think that track time, that seat time, that experience, staying fresh, I think that makes Kyle Busch better. So Kyle Busch running these 5 Xfinity races, I expect him to win at least 2 of them, honestly. And I think it'll make his on-track performance in the Cup Series better as well. So I feel even more confident in my prediction that Busch wins 4 or 5 races, makes a deep playoff run. At this point, I think it's a safe pick. Of course, I look forward to revisiting this take in 6-8 months and seeing how wrong I was, but no, I'm confident in this one. I'm about as confident in that prediction as I've been in any performance-based prediction in recent memory. So let me know what you think down in the comment section below. I know many fans are going to be upset that Busch is back because he is so dominant. He's often not fun to watch. But do you believe he'll do well in that Kaulig car? Do you think this will have any correlation towards his Cup Series performance? Let me know down in the comment section below. That's gonna do it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching, y'all. If you enjoyed, please leave it a like. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy NASCAR, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below to stay in the loop. And thank you, as always, to my very generous and very supportive Patreon supporters. Monday night, February 13th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday Night Racing Season 6 finale. Darrell Waltrip joins the broadcast. And Tuesday, February 14th, Valentine's Day, Brennan Poole and I will launch our all-new podcast, Out of the Groove Power Hour, presented by Circle Beat Diecast. Daniel Suarez will join us for episode 1. I hope you all are looking forward to all that content and more to come here in the new season. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you this weekend.